This Monday message is 2 days before the celebration of Epiphany on January 6th, which is a word we may have first learned about in high school literacy English classes as a sudden revelation, but that word is connected to the way we mean it in Christian faith, which is the celebration of the wise men visiting Jesus and then returning home by that other way and bringing the sudden revelation of Jesus the Messiah further out into the world. When I taught Matthew chapter 2 to fourth graders at the school, we spent some time on verse 10, which says this: "On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chest, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh." We debated whether or not the wise men belong in a home manger scene, or, as you can see behind me, right by the manger on this tapestry, because of the form of the word oikos in that verse. It says, "on entering the house." Then the kids would write a paragraph imagining how Jesus and his family went from a manger in Bethlehem to a house using parts of the birth story. So they could include an innkeeper and a donkey and angels and shepherds and maybe even King Herod, census takers, to imagine how that happened. We then noted that Matthew chapter 2 doesn't specify the number of wise men, only the number of gifts, which led us to conclude that there were 3 wise men if each one brought a gift. Sometimes considering that was just a little bit too much. As we talked about at Messy Church yesterday, the wise men bring some strange gifts for a baby as we would consider them in 2021. And some of the kids yesterday suggested that things like a stuffy or a toy or clothes for a baby that's wrapped in strips of cloth might have been better gifts to bring to a baby. But the gifts those wise men bring tell us when he's first born about who Jesus is and who he will be for the world, that he will be a king and a savior and will be born so that we no more may die, as the beloved carol says. In some countries like Spain and some in South America and Puerto Rico, children will put straw in their shoes the night before Epiphany, not for an imagined wise men who will be visiting to eat, but for their camels to have something to eat. And then in the morning, the straw is gone and little gifts and candies are in the children's shoes. This is sort of a celebration of Epiphany in some Christian traditions to remind them that the gifts that the wise men brought to Jesus remind us of the gift that Jesus is to the entire world. And this is what Epiphany means by the manifestation of Christ out to the world, that the light of Jesus does not stay in that small part of Bethlehem, but even before Jesus grows up, is making its way further out into the world. And it's still moving today because we are the ones who are moving it. It does not get hidden under a bushel, but we are the ones to spread it. And it starts to spread when people everywhere take the love and the light that they find at Christmas, the hope of a Savior, and share it with others by doing justice and loving mercy and walking humbly with God. "The glory of the Lord has set you ablaze with light." That is a paraphrase from Isaiah 60. So on this day, we will close with those words to remind us to shine the light of Jesus, whatever place in your life and your world needs them this week. So from Isaiah 60. "Arise and shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. For darkness shall cover the earth, and thick darkness the peoples. But the Lord will arise upon you, and his glory will appear over you. Nations shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn." The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.